everyone! I'm back! I never left, but I'm back. Since being gone, a lot has happened. You'll notice that I'm not in any location that you probably recognize, and it's because I'm currently in New York City because I have an internship at NBC, and it's awesome. It's so cool. Today, I'm not going to talk about my internship with NBC. I'm going to talk about how I published a book. This is my book. I'm holding it. It's so cool. I cannot believe, look, my name's on the cover. Look at that. It's so cool. And today I'm gonna tell you guys how I published a book. So the first thing I did was write the book. My freshman year of college, I was going through a lot and I needed something to like have an outlet, you know, just have a little bit of fun. So I wrote a book. Now a lot of people might think that's kind of strange because no one really writes novels for fun, but I do. It appears that I do. At the time the main character is based on me, and I lived at the top of this big mountain. I worked at a radio station my freshman year, and to get there I had to walk down the stairs to the mountain, past like a block, and then go to the radio station. And on my way to the radio station was this big abandoned fraternity house. It was scary. I don't know why they kept it around. And eventually I was just like, why? Like, why is this still here? Why are we still keeping this terrifying thing up? So I dedicated about a week of my life to researching what happened to the house, what happened to the fraternity in the house. And I was like, you know what? This would make a great mystery novel. So I started writing it. I wrote it on a Google Doc at first because all of my stories start on Google Docs. That way if I'm like, you know, like on a train or on a plane, in a car or whatever, I can still have access to it and still write it. I can still keep ideas going. So I wrote it on a Google Doc, and I thought it was fine. Like, it was okay, it was whatever, but I loved the characters in it. I knew that they had a lot of legs and I could take them to different scenarios, different places, and it would still be a fun time. So around my sophomore year, I started looking into publishers. Now, my mom is a published author. She's published several books. I'm very, very proud of her. And she basically was guiding me through this whole process, because if you don't have an agent, you basically have to research by hand every single individual publisher that would like be interested in taking your book. So this is a young adult mystery novel. So I basically looked up every publisher that does mystery, young adult, fiction, action, adventure, thriller, like all of these other things. Like, you'd be so surprised. Like, there was a publisher that I found that only wanted books about like marine life. Like, why? I basically researched the hell out of the publishing houses, and I came up with 35 publishers. It was a lot. I had them on a spreadsheet on my laptop. Each publisher wants a different thing from you. Basically, all of them want a query letter, which is like where you take like 2 or 3 sentences to describe the book and then describe yourself and then describe what audience you think the book might appeal to. So they all want that, but then some of them want the first 50 pages. Some of them want the first like 3 chapters. I had one publisher that wanted like a beat by beat summary. And if you've ever written a screenplay and you've written a beat sheet, you'll know how taxing that is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically every single thing that happens in the book written out into like a list. And it's the most annoying thing to make, because at that point, you may as well just read the whole book. Each publisher wanted something totally different, and it took such a long time to try to like figure out what each one wanted and to curate all of those materials and send them. And then some of them are like, okay, we only want you to mail it to us. I'm not gonna mail 50 pages of a book. I would spend a fortune on postage. In today's economy, no, sorry, not doing it. I only did email submissions. I set that bar for myself. I was like, I'm only gonna do email submissions because if I send anything by mail, I'm gonna go insane. In my second semester of my sophomore year, I took an accounting class as per my lovely parents' request. They will be happy to know upon the viewing of this video that I did not learn a thing from that accounting class and instead spent that like hour and 20 minutes each Tuesday and Thursday submitting this book to publishers. in that class. So like I would find a publisher, I would see what they wanted, I'd get everything together and I'd email it out, and then I'd find another publisher, and like it was a good time. But my accounting class, the whole class was like project based, so like from day one to the last day we were just working on a project in class that could have been easily worked on out of class and I would have learned nothing anyway. So it was a productive use of my time. So then the next step was basically waiting, and you can wait for a while, like a while. Usually what happens is if publishers don't want your book, they just don't reply to you. It's not like applying to college where you like send out an application and you hear back by like March and you have to make the decision by May 1st. Like it's not like that. If they don't want you, they'll just leave you high and dry with zero explanation. The best publishers are the ones that reject you and then say, we didn't like it because of these reasons. And you're like, oh, free editing, sick. I'll do what you said and hopefully make it into a better book. I basically was like hearing from these publishers and none of them were really biting. Like I didn't hear back from a lot of them. A couple of them said that they were like, oh, send us like the first 2 chapters, and then they didn't want it. To be fair, I wrote it as a freshman and didn't really edit it a lot. Like I didn't know how to edit it. I didn't know like how to seek out people to read it because all of my friends were busy with classes and my parents had work and my sister had school. Like everybody who I would have gone to for critiquing guidance just had life, which is totally fine and I get it. But it was really rough. It was a very, very rough manuscript. That was in like January when I submitted to publishers. Fast forward 7 months, it's July, I'm in Hilton Head with my family on vacation. I get an email from Dreaming Big Publications, my editor, Christy, who told me that she had a bout with cancer and she was very, very sorry, but she was going through chemo and she couldn't really read submissions. But if the manuscript is still available, she'd love to take a look at it. First of all, I was ecstatic because this was like one of 3 publishers I heard back from, and these people actually wanted to see the whole book. The other 2 publishers that I heard back from just were like, send us like the first 2 chapters and we'll see. And then they never got back to me. So I was like, oh my God, they want to see the whole book, that's great. But also, her being like, oh, sorry, I just had cancer. Like, it's totally fine. Way to drop that on me and be like, I had cancer, I'm sorry I couldn't read your book. Would you mind sending it over now? And I was like, sure, I'll do that. So I got home, I sent them the whole manuscript, and then like a couple weeks later, I heard back from them saying that they wanted to sign me and sign a contract for my book, and I was so excited. But the basic things that you have to know for the purposes of this story from the contract was they had 2 years to publish my book from the signing of the agreement. And if they didn't publish it within 2 years, all the copyright would go back to me, all of the rights would go back to me. So I signed it. And now we're here. So over my junior year, it was a lot of editing. The first editor I got her name was Abigail. She was lovely and she put up with all of my BS because she was a content editor. There's different kinds of editors when you're in publishing. The first being content. It's like, okay, let's just get this out of the way and just like make sure that you know that everything in this book makes sense. Like content-wise, it all makes sense. So the biggest issue with this book was that I wrote it as a freshman. It was the first mystery I ever wrote. And I didn't know how to write a mystery, apparently, because the mystery didn't make sense. She looked at it, she read it over, she sent me an email, she was like, I'm just wondering, did you mean for this to not make sense? And I was like, oh, yeah, it was an artistic choice. With her, we kind of worked through it and we fixed everything and it was wonderful and lovely. It was a long time to content edit it. It was a lot of like in between classes, like quickly whipping out my laptop, making some edits and then running to my next class. And I remember when I got out of content editing and just into like grammar editing, that was a little better because someone would go through for me and like add commas and all this stuff. I might not know how to write a coherent mystery, but I can do the grammar thing. The editing process took 1.5 years, and as my friends who have read this can already tell you, there are spelling errors in it. Because every single time it was a content edit, I had to go back from like 2 chapters before the edit and made sure it made sense, or if it was like something involving the mystery at the core of the novel itself, I had to go back and read every single individual part pertaining to that. And it was just so much that by the end, when they were like, yeah, look it over to make sure there are no spelling mistakes, my eyes just basically like glazed over it. But yes, there are spelling errors in it. Yes, there are mistakes. It's my first novel, and the publishing house is very small. It's a small publishing house in Tennessee. You know what? I can't even fault them because they're doing a bang up job. And then we had to do all the superficial stuff. So like I have a biography on the back here, and then I have like the description of the novel, and then I had to make the cover, and I know zero about graphic design. Thankfully, I know a lot of people who are good at graphic design and photography and PR and everything, so I enlisted some of my wonderful friends to help me make the cover, and this is what they came up with. It's great, and I love it very much. And then there was all like the marketing and PR and press for my book, so like I had to open up an Instagram account, which follow it here, please. Then what I did was I hosted a photo shoot with the help of my lovely friends. I found people on campus who looked like the characters in this book, and I took pictures of them like in a movie, like you know how they do promotional stills of a movie? I did that, and it was so much fun. It was awesome, and I loved every second of it, and everyone who helped me with that, like, God bless you. And the pictures came out so good, like 10 out of 10, and they're all on the Instagram, or most of them are if you want to see them. Once the Instagram started, I made like stories of like meeting every character. Main character's name is Brooklyn. You know Brooklyn's favorite color, her favorite animal, her major, where she's from. You know everything about her even before you start reading it, so hopefully you can make a connection to the characters. This process lasted for the better part of 2 years. This coming August 2020, that's when my contract would have been up, but it got published on January 15th, 2020, which is my birthday. It was my 22nd birthday, and I was sitting at my internship, and I got the email from Christy that said, hey, it's on Amazon, and I almost cried at my internship. I almost bawled. And so now, after a year and a half of being signed to a publishing house, after all of that work, I finally have a book. And it has been a dream of mine to publish a book ever since I was a kid. And it means a lot to have this much support and this much love. If you've seen the new rendition of Little Women, and the ending scene of Little Women, when Jo March watches the book being bound and then holds it like this, I watched that scene and I bawled, because that's what I feel like when I'm holding this. It's my baby, it's my life, my freshman year of college is in these pages. Well, not literally, but like, you know, like the soul of my freshman year of college is in this book. And it's really crazy that this is a thing, and that I can confidently say to you, if you want to publish a book, start somewhere and write. It doesn't even have to be at the beginning, because half of the books I have start in the middle. And that's another thing I should mention, is I never go into a book with an outline, ever. I don't know what's gonna happen. I have a general idea of where I want it to begin and where I want it to end, and whatever happens in the middle is whatever, which is why I think initially the mystery in this book did not make sense. But you know, it makes sense now, and it's crazy. Like, dude, it's crazy. And I think if it's kind, I'm gonna publish the second one too. I'm so lucky to have the support of people at Dreaming Big, and I'm so ready to go back into this next mystery and also have it make no sense. Do you guys have any questions about publishing a book, or about this book in particular, or just like life advice on how to write things? Leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. You can pick up Unraveling. It is in Kindle. I think it's $3 on Kindle. If you want the physical book, it's $10. And it's on Amazon. It can come Amazon Prime right to your door. So, you know, when you hit the beach this summer or you go on vacation, it's a nice light paperback book. And I'll link it below, and I'll link the Instagram account as well below. Please give us a follow. It's a lot of fun doing that Instagram account. Me and my friend do it, and it's a great time. And I'm really excited to be able to share this with you guys and with my friends, my family, and the world. I don't know, I like making these like life update kind of videos, and I know no one probably really cares because everyone else has their own lives and, you know, all that, but I figure this is a good place to start if you want to know how to publish a book without an agent, which is the majority of people, because it's hard to get an agent. And I think knowing that somebody has done it is a good start, and it gives you a little bit of a confidence boost. With that, I will see you guys when I see you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!